So by numbers, you're a 7-5-4-3. So what we've been talking about, the answer authority, that's really the fact finder part of you, the gathering and sharing information, doing the research, needing to become an expert. So that 7, and in each of those, it's on a spectrum, really, from 1 to 10. The further we are toward 10, the more we would say that you initiate in that, what we call action mode. So in Fact Finder, you really initiate the problem-solving process because you're at a 7 with getting that information.
Okay.
So again, detail, expert. When it comes to guessing, you're not a guess it kind of person. You are a quantify it kind of person. If there are unknowns, and there are always unknowns, you're the kind of person that will like to put bounds or constraints on the unknowns and tell people, well, here's what I think within a certain percentage of confidence level, or it's plus or minus this. You, by the same token, you're perfectly fine just putting stuff out there, as long as you have already done the research and gotten some of those answers. It's the times when somebody says, asks you to give an opinion on something where you really don't know it yet. That's where you'll say, yeah, I really don't know. And try not to let people force you into a situation where you have to give an answer that you really don't have a clue about.
Sure.
I don't know if that happens much in your job or personal life.
I mean, it happens sometimes. I think it recently happened on an example where I was leading a webinar, and somebody asked a question. It's really interesting that you actually brought this up, because somebody in the webinar asked a question that I wasn't really sure on the answer of, and I just completely froze and was so disarmed, and it was just a basic question that I probably should have known the answer to. So my backup that I keep in my back pocket is, I normally ask my manager, I say, keep me honest. So that means you come in and make sure what I'm saying is actually the right thing that I should actually be saying, because I don't like guessing and I don't like misinformation, and I get frazzled. It's weird. I know the answer, but it's oh, I didn't practice that one, even though it's a question that I've been asked 1,000 times, David. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, I mean, I hate to say that you're correct and spot on here with this, but
It's okay. You can say it was spot on. I like that.
pretty spot on that one.
Yeah. And the way, there's some techniques. One of them is just to say, you know what? That question deserves a really accurate response, and I would be guessing right now. So let me get back to you on that. And sometimes even in the course of a conversation, it'll come back to you and you can say, I thought about
Yep.
it a little more, and here's that answer to that question, even if it
Yeah,
was 5 minutes earlier. And that's fine. But you can give responses like that. And because the people who work with you more often know that when you give an answer, they can count on it because of your 7 in Fact Finder, I think they'll be very understanding of hearing that.
sure.
So the next one is follow through. Follow through is how we deal with systems, structure, organization. So you're a 5. And as I said before, the scale is essentially a 1 through a 10. You're in the middle of that continuum. So when it comes to systems and structure, you don't necessarily initiate the problem-solving process or a project with creating a system and coming up with the comprehensive 12-step plan. You're more likely to, hey, if there's one there, great, I will work within that system or structure. You're also not the kind of person that just ignores it, is always finding shortcuts and ignoring some of the steps. By the way, full disclosure, I'm on that end of the spectrum. So
Yeah.
the positive way of describing that is I'm open-ended and adaptable. But yeah, the negative side, because I was talking about, it's not really a criticism, but the reality is that if you need somebody to follow procedures carefully and consistently, I'm not your guy. You aren't so far on that end of the spectrum where, if you were running safety at a nuclear power plant, maybe I'd want a little more follow through from you,
Yeah. Right.
but you're not. So you live within those systems and structures. And what's great about somebody with this 5 in system and structure is you kind of accommodate those swings and you will help other people too, whether that's at work or also in your personal life. Because there are times when, oh my gosh, things are so structured and systematic and you can live within that. But you can also maybe push some of those boundaries and find some of those shortcuts. And then those times when, oh my gosh, there's no system in place. There's no structure. Now, if you have to operate in that situation all the time, that's going to be stressful. But for little chunks, great, you can accommodate that. You can flow with that a little bit until it gets back to a little bit of system and structure. So you'll do that pretty naturally, and people can lean on you for that. You're a good person to work, where there's a little bit of bureaucracy, but maybe also a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
I don't know how bureaucratic Airbnb is, and I don't want to rat them out or anything, but
No.
it's a big business. At least we all
It's a
know its
big
name.
business. Yeah, it's a big business, and I'm fortunate enough to work on the side of the business that's not so big. And so ambiguity is still where we live and where I live. And there's a lot of scrappiness that's still going on this side of the team, and there is some building that's happening, right? And so it's like you said, like I can thrive in this situation where I have some sort of just frame. I can start to move those pieces into place and like reorganize some things around to start to make a clear playbook after I already have kind of like, these are the goals, these are the instructions, these are the goals, like get us there. And I can kind of weave in and find some, operational gaps and like process redundancy. Like I'm good at finding redundant processes. Okay. But also like if it's the same every day for me, eventually I'm gonna literally like tap. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a done deal. It's gonna be a done deal. So
It's also a segue then to the third one of the 4 action modes, which we call the quick start. And it's how you deal with risk, the unknown, innovation in the sense of doing things new. And with your 4 in the quick start, you're also in what we consider the mid-range, kind of like with follow through, where you accommodate the kind of the risk and the unknown. So one of the things I heard with kind of why you started your business, it was almost like you were pushed to it. It wasn't like you're the kind of
yeah,
person where, oh my
yeah,
gosh, every month I'm starting a
yeah,
new business.
yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not going to create chaos for the sake of change, right? It's going to just be like I'm forced into it. I'm testing specific things, like piloting different things. It's my approach to innovation is very strategic, and I think that a lot of time people think that because I am a spontaneous person in life and creative and social, that professionally, like I'm this huge risk taker. And sometimes you have to be in sales, right? They say the bigger the risk, the higher the payout, the higher the reward, the higher the commission or whatever. But for me, myself, I think I want it to be a calculated risk or a measured risk, right?
That
And then
language is like straight out of our results with your fact finder. Seriously. I mean, I was honestly in my notes, I was going to talk about your calculated risk taking with that's how you should do it. And, you built on something you already knew. It was an
yeah,
industry you were already in. And so this is a thing I'm going to hit again with the imposter syndrome thing. You're an entrepreneur and it sounds like you're thriving at it, but you might not always feel like it because this picture that we've been painted, or
mhm,
this notion that we've been told, well, entrepreneurs have to be these swashbuckling, bet the farm, do different, brand new things all the time. A lot of people, frankly, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of entrepreneurs are more like you, where it is calculated, it's incremental. Yeah, you started your own business, that's what makes you an entrepreneur, but you didn't just wake up one morning and decide,
so,
oh, I think this sounds cool. But people feel like they aren't real entrepreneurs sometimes because they fit your mold and not this other mold that culturally we're told that you have to be just like that to be an entrepreneur, rather than be somebody who, starts out in a field, learns under a mentor, and at some point says, you know what, I'm at the point where I've learned all this stuff I need to learn.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my own business and go for it. And that's great. And just because you weren't the, stereotype of what an entrepreneur looks like does not make you an imposter.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I don't know if you feel that way about your entrepreneurial life, but I've met lots of people who do.
I feel that way quite often when I'm starting a project, or when a new host, or I'm starting a new home with a new home. I feel very entrepreneurial about it when they pay me, when I pay my employees, right? Other than that, it's like, oh, it's just this side thing that I did. That's literally how I refer to it.
Okay. So the last part of your Kolbe result is your implementer. The name can sometimes be misleading. It's not how we implement, as in carry things out. The name comes from the use of tools and implements. It's all about the three-dimensional world, tactile, physically building part. So for you, you have a 3 in implementer, which is toward the end of the spectrum, where you're more imagine rather than build. You envision rather than, physically construct and create. So your way of being creative, even if it's, do you consider yourself to be an artist?
Occasionally, yeah. I mean, I am definitely a creative and artistic sort. I don't know if you can tell, but I may be a little bit humorous, and I have taken stand-up comedy classes at Stand Up Live. So, storytelling at the Moth, all my jail. Yeah.
A lot of times people think of, if you're creative, you need to create physical stuff.
Yeah.
You are a creative who creates conceptual things, stories. Lots of times when we see visual artists who have a result like yours, it's maybe painting, but it's much more two-dimensional rather than sculpture, as an example. Millions of people have discovered their natural way of taking action. What's yours? Go to Kolbe.com and take the Kolbe A Index to find out.